Started. Well, first of all, let me say thank you all for joining in today. Hopefully everybody had a happy and wonderful holiday season and you got everything you wanted. And hopefully everybody's home, for the most part, stayed safe and well. Unlike my home a little bit, who we had to deal with a little bit of the COVID virus, but hopefully everybody's doing well. So let's jump right into it here. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that came out to our coat and hat drive. It was a success. We raised quite a few coats and hats and actually got many new ones as well. So I want to thank everybody for participating in that. It's a blessing to not only me, but to those that needed those coats, especially with the weather we've had the last few days. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that was involved in that. As far as many of you know, the Noah's Ark project is sleeping right now. It's not totally dead, but it's sleeping. They pulled it from it, so they're going to come back again. But I want to say thank you to all the residents in that Noah's Ark area for stepping up and voicing your opinion of what you want and what you need in your community. So thank you for that as well. We have another proposed project coming up on the McDonough Road area. So I want to make folks aware of that as well. And we'll be sending some things out here shortly on that as well. We're still in the design stage of our new government building. And just to let folks know, we will have a library. So the library is not going away. We've gotten a lot of dialogue from folks on that. I see folks clapping. We will have a library, and hopefully it's state of the art with what everybody needs and some objects in there that folks want. So I thank you all for voicing your opinions on that as well. Let's jump straight into it. We're going to jump straight into it right now. I want Troy Hodges, our Parks and Rec director, who's doing a fabulous job. I want Troy to come in and give you an update on what's going on here in the county, our new centers, what's going on, how they are here to support you and some of the programs.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Davis, and good morning to everyone. First, we'll start with International Park and the Spivey Splash Water Park. The Spivey Splash Water Park will open on Memorial Day weekend, which will be the end of April this year, in a few more months. It'll be if you haven't seen the photos, it'll be a totally brand new water park. There's no sand anywhere. It's all very clear, filtered, clean, concrete water. It's your traditional water park. We have a flow rider, which you see on the cruise ships. That's a surfing simulator type thing that the kids and adults love. But it'll be, unlike any other water park that, around here. It's more on the whitewater scale, if you will, a scaled down version of the whitewater, but it will be a very popular attraction for Clayton County and the metro area. We'll have video screens, large video screens where we can play videos, ball games, anything we want to play. We'll have 3 or 4 different large video screens that, I'm sure the public will enjoy. We'll have our own radio station that will be geared towards Clayton County events only. So we have our own radio station that will be streamed into the water park. We've got a state-of-the-art sound system. It'll be really great. International Park is also, if you haven't noticed, we have demolished all of the restrooms, the outdoor restrooms, and we'll have new restrooms brought in, these modular units that are very, very nice, and we have those coming in within the next 30 to 45 days. The VIP complex and the amphitheater, Commissioner Davis has been instrumental in the redesign of this amphitheater. It will be a very We'll have concerts, movies in the parks, graduations, anything that we can have in a, roughly 2,400 seat arena at International Park. It'll be, we've thought about all of the sound, from disturbing the nearby neighborhoods. All of that is being thought of ahead of time this go around. So we'll be proud of that as well. The VIP complex has been renovated and it is pretty much ready for rentals and family reunions. So if you're interested and have a need for a meeting space of some sort, we have 2 floors and several break-off rooms that can be used for those types of meetings. And of course, our recreation centers this time of year are very, very popular with all the New Year's resolutions. And we have been very, very busy at all of our recreation centers, most importantly, the Lake Spivey, with all of the new equipment and, everybody is really enjoying that facility. So with that, I could probably take any questions, or Commissioner Davis, if you have any things you would like me to cover.
Yes, just let folks know how they would reserve the pavilion or anything else over at any one of the centers.
Yeah, well, the phone number, and I'll put it in the chat room as well, but chat thing, but the phone number is 770-603-4005, and I'll put that in the chat room.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Hodges?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm Nelda Dunson. I live in the subdivision next to the park. And my question is, when the park opens up, is the playground area, et cetera, going to be monitored? Because you can have really teenagers and even some adults that abuse things. And I want to know if there's going to be any monitoring for the park.
Yes, we'll when the the summer season, if you will, hits and the water park opens, we will have official Clayton County police officers that will patrol the entire park as well as the water park. So we'll do our best to monitor all areas. However, if you have any concerns or see anything, I'll put my cell phone number in the chat room as well. And, always you can let me know and I can provide you additional information as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hodges?
I have a question for Mr. Hodges. How you doing, Mr. Davis? How are you today?
Buddy, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Hodges, how you doing this morning?
Doing well, Mr. Franny. How are you?
Good. I wanted to have an idea of the Lovejoy area in regards to the tennis courts. We had some issues with weeds and some areas cracked tennis courts where weeds were growing inside the actual tennis court. So I was wondering what was going to happen this upcoming year in regards to trying to get it repaved and stuff, and if there was going to be a pickleball court added in that area.
Yeah, like pickleball, you hit a very popular subject, and yes, we are going to have a pickleball. We're just trying to find a vendor, a county vendor that is in that business of drawing the pickleball court lines over our existing tennis court lines to address your resurfacing at the Lovejoy site. We just resurfaced that area a couple of years ago. Right now, it is a funding issue. We're hoping to utilize our SPLOST fundings with parks improvements, but the 2020 SPLOST funds are slowly but surely coming in and being prioritized to the different departments. So, we did go out there. We tried to put a Band-Aid on some of those issues that you and I think your wife had talked about in the past. However, it's part of a bigger picture, and we're trying.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And I did not know pickleball was as big as it was. And I took a tour of Henry counties. They do theirs inside the gymnasium of where they're going. So we really want to push that because it's a growing game. It's a growing game, and we want to accommodate those folks that want to play that game. So we definitely want to do that, and we're up on that. We also have a question in here, Troy, about will there be tours available for the updated facility?
Certainly. I think you may be talking about maybe the VIP complex or possibly the recreation centers. Yes. Yeah. You contact the number that I'm going to put in the chat room. Let them know that you're interested in renting a facility, and they will be able to direct you and how to get to them so they can provide you a tour.
Great. And also the water. What about the water park?
The water park, we plan on having a drive, a season pass, walk through, if you will. One of the things that we've ran into in the past, of course, is the risk involved with kind of opening the water park up and letting people walk around. The next thing you know, that turns into somebody maybe accidentally jumping in a pool, and we don't have a lifeguard on staff. But when it gets closer to the time, yes, we are going to have a walkthrough and a season pass drive for the citizens.
Thank you. Anything
And
else,
also,
Mr. Hodges? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
One thing that I guess you guys would be very interested in, you will receive a discount as on season passes for Clayton County citizens if you're interested in that area, in that stuff.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Hodges about Parks and Rec or the facilities? Okay. Well, we're going to move on. We've had some interesting information that has come out and hit the news, and we want to begin to discuss it, and we want to get it straight. So Chief Roberts, if you're available, you can talk about our crime stats and just the general overall perception and real world stats that are going on here in the county.
I got a feeling by the silence that did you bring me in, Commissioner?
I'm hands-free.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I had some technical difficulties. So
That's okay.
Said as far as the preface before I was able to join back on, what was the information you presented?
Basically, I want you to go over, we had some crime stats come out and were hit. Some of them were not, let's just say, totally factual. And we want you to address our crime stats of what's going on here.
Good morning, all. Happy New Year to you. And as the commissioner said, I know that there was information disseminated last week related to crime stats. Let me be clear. The Clayton County Police Department is the reporting agency for crime as it relates to this area. We submit our crime stats to the FBI, which accounts for all crime reporting as it relates to our citizens. If you're not aware, I actually did an end of year address that should be on our website, and we have seen substantial increases in key areas, specifically homicides. Our homicides, we ended the year with 52 compared to 37 the previous year. That is a substantial increase, and it gives me concern, but as we dug into the numbers, we discovered a dominating theme in that most of our homicides were committed by folks that are known to each other. They were either family or friends or acquaintances engaging in some type of act, and they accounted for 64% of our homicides. So there's a disconnect in our deconfliction or conflict resolution as it relates to issues between known parties that we need to work on as a community. What are we doing? As an agency, we always work together with our partners. with increased police presence to reduce homicides and all violent crime in the county, but we need to do a lot more than that. We need community assistance in making our citizens aware of resources available to them in reference to conflict resolution, things of that nature. Gun safety, we saw a substantial amount of stolen guns that were stolen from vehicles that were left unsecured and available to criminals, which would later be used in crimes, violent crimes against our citizens. So there's a lot of things going on outside of just crime that we need to address holistically. I've taken the initiative to reach out to some of our domestically based community groups such as Sisters Empowerment, and we are brainstorming on how we can do some messaging to everyone in the county as it relates to conflict resolution. And of course, our agency offered a gun safety presentation a little bit earlier in 2021 that we're going to bring back multiple times during 2022, just to remind everyone the importance of securing our weapons. If you're not aware, we had a homicide that occurred between a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old, where a 12-year-old discharged a weapon, killing an 11-year-old. Now, if that doesn't bother the community, I don't know what does. I feel passionate about that because just a couple of years ago, I was standing in front of many groups that were raising Cain about one of our officers drawing his weapon on some teens that were thought to be armed at a gas station. That made national news. That had people out here on my department steps protesting. I ain't got a call about these two kids using a weapon causing a child's death. That's a problem for me. That should be a problem for this community. That should be a problem for all those folks that were in my building making all that noise. It's quiet now. And I'm so disappointed. So as a community, we got a lot of work to do that goes outside the scope of the police department. The police department will be the foundation, but it's a community effort that needs to come together to address these issues. And I know this group that meets religiously with Commissioner Davis is on board, but it's some other folks we got to get on board. You're going to hear from our two captains about statistics related to their respective areas, but keep those things in mind. As we move through 2022, you'll see opportunities to further engage with the police department, our faith forums, our business summits, our normal neighborhood watch meetings, where we will be revisiting these topics in detail and asking for contributions from the community. But before we get to the captains, Commissioner, if I may, we had a lot of retirements at the end of 2021. There's been some changes in leadership and command. And I just want to bring on the new division commander for the Uniform Patrol Division, Major Gazara Hill. Major, if you would come to the mic and make your presence felt and introduce yourself and then introduce your team.
Yes, sir, will do. I'm sorry if my video is not working. I restored my camera 2 or 3 times. Unfortunately, we got some technical difficulties.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. I gave you that grand introduction and they can't see your face.
Yes, sir, Chief. I got a fresh haircut. I wanted to be seen too. Anyway, if you can hear me, if the Chief allowed me, my name is Gazara Hill. I've been very fortunate to command the Uniform Patrol Division. This is my first month at it, coming from Sector 1, then Special Enforcement and Training. And so now I get the chance to be over 186 plus officers that responds to 911 calls for service. And so the most important people, and as our chief always tells us and teaches us in Sector 4 is Captain Gary Flynn. If you're on, Captain Flynn, will you speak, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. From the Sector 4 side, as the chief stated, and I want to echo his sentiment in reference to stolen guns. That's still on a week-to-week basis. I see 3 or 4 guns that are stolen out of cars that are left unlocked. Sometimes even with the keys still in the vehicle. It's one of those things that we've pushed out messaging. We've done what we can do as far as trying to spread the word about that, just, simple as locking your car, taking that gun with you when you go in your house. And that's the big thing. I understand, some businesses and some places do not allow firearms within them, but those aren't the places that we're typically seeing the thefts happening. It's, at people's house, at their apartment, things like that, things that would be entirely avoidable otherwise. As far as for the month, if we can put the statistics back up, as a whole for the sector, crime was down in everything other than stolen vehicles, if I recall correctly. And in those, again, it was vehicles being left running, people warming their cars up, leaving them running at gas stations. And then a couple of the others were actually people that were known to the person that owned the vehicle that just took their car without permission. With the weather being cold, obviously everybody likes to, have a nice warm car when they go out and get in it. If you have a remote start, that's helpful, where you can still lock your car, or even some vehicles have where they call it like safe park, where you can actually disable the vehicle being able to be put into drive or reverse while it's running. But if not, the best thing you can do is actually be in your car while it's running, because for whatever reason, people seem to know when people leave their cars out there running unattended. And, the gas stations, people think they're just going to run inside and grab a drink or grab some lottery tickets or whatever real quick. And then they come out and find their car gone because they left it running in the parking lot. Those things, are things that we can do, through messaging to reduce those opportunities. One thing I do want to cover, we covered it Thursday night in our neighborhood watch and HOA president's meeting. There is a new parking ordinance that went into effect at the first of the year. And the old parking ordinances still apply as far as street parking during school bus hours. There's, no street parking during the hours, basically in the morning when the school buses run. And then again in the afternoon when they run. But the new ordinance covers where vehicles are parked on both sides of the roadway. And the minimum requirement now is there has to be 12 feet between the vehicles. If there are two vehicles that are essentially parked opposite each other on the street, both of those drivers or both of the owners of those vehicles can be cited. If we are able to determine who the last person to park was, then that person would be the only person to be cited. But there is a new parking ordinance in effect that governs being able to, for school buses, emergency equipment, things like that, to be able to get up and down the street. You can refer to the county ordinances in reference to that if you need any more specific information, or you can always reach out to me and I'll provide that information to you directly. And that's all I have, Chief.
Thank you, sir. Captain Maddox, you on?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm here as Mr. Maddox today, sir.
Okay, my apologies. Well, Mr. Maddox, you don't know if Captain Maddox had anything I needed to relay on his behalf, do you?
No, sir. I just wanted to emphasize again about leaving the guns in the cars. That's just been a crazy thing this year. And it's, you're leaving it outside your house, inside your car, and then they break in and steal the gun out of the car. And it's gotten out of hand, really. And I think what we had, over 60% of our stolen guns this year were from entering autos. I think is what the number was. So I just wanted to add to that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Commissioner, I believe that's all we have for presentation, and we can take questions. Let me add this. I ask, if you're not connected to the Clayton County Police Department, please come to our website, claytonpolice.com. We're active on Facebook and Twitter, and we do our best to try to keep our community informed. And as Captain Flynn indicated, just this past Thursday, we had our annual Neighborhood Watch Presidents and HOA President meeting, and it's all about keeping you informed. And as they display the stats, Captain Flynn, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Yes, what this is basically covering the month of December through the end of the year. As you can see, this was, if you look at the very end number on the right-hand side, that's week 1. That would be the latest statistics that we had as of the time of this meeting. And everything was either the same or like I said, vehicle theft went up by 1. I already kind of addressed those things. If you can scroll down to the next stat there, and this is a comparison. Basically, it's, if you look, 2021 versus 2020, stolen vehicles were up, but most everything else was down for the year. Our robberies and I'm trying not to look at the end number because that's actually reflecting of 2022. So I'm trying to look at the middle number there. Our robberies did go up. And again, like the chief was saying, as far as our homicides and our other violent crimes, what we're finding is a lot of the robberies are actually occurring between people that know each other. One of the unique ones I had actually the week before last was 2 brothers that actually one brother pulled a gun on the other one and while he was walking down the street and robbed him. So it's not entirely what we would think of your traditional robberies that are happening. It's actually people who are known to each other, and for whatever reason they resort to committing either an armed robbery or a strong armed robbery. That'd be it, Chief.
All right.
Commissioner, I think we can take any questions at the
Yes.
time, or if you like, or however you want to move.
Definitely. Let's, any questions that are for our chiefs or our captains or sector commanders, please ask.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I have a problem
She
with,
looks like it.
hello? I have problem with late night construction noise in my area.
Okay.
What area are you in?
I live between 138 and Mount Zion. So I think the construction noise is coming off of Highway 54, that big area over there by the Quick Trip.
Okay.
So, Ms.
That's Battle
Brenda,
Creek Road.
Ms. Brenda, when the noise is occurring, have you called us out already?
I have.
And what was the response?
You responded. The noise stopped, but it'll come back the next day.
I got it. So it sounds like we need to find the construction source, Captain Flynn, and work on just some messaging with them so we can get a long-term solution to the noise problem in that area. And I'm sure the captain will take care of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Miss
you.
Wilson, you said that's in the Battle Creek area is where you
Yes.
think it's coming from? Okay. All right.
Yes.
I'll look into that and we'll see if we can figure out which construction company that is. And what times, I mean, you said it's in the overnight hours?
I mean, it's late at night, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's the area right across from the Quick Trip.
Okay.
On Battle
All right.
Creek.
We'll see if we can figure out what construction company that is, and we'll address that.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
And I'm
ma'am.
thinking we might want to look at there's a truck parking over there as well. And I'm wondering, could that possibly be the source as well? We might want to look into that.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Commissioner Davis, this is Judy
Okay.
Taylor. Yes, this is for everybody in the police department and everything too. I fully support funding that needs to be looked at, and I know the commissioners are all looking at this, but our police department needs to be fully funded, and I know that they're having a issue with having enough personnel and enough equipment, enough of everything, and we've got to be competitive with our other counties, and they're hiring our best officers away from us and everything because we need to pay whatever it takes, and we need to provide whatever funding it takes so that we can take care of all these issues that we discuss all the time. And I just like to know that, like for you to know that those of us out here who do pay our taxes and everything else do fully support whatever funding it takes to keep our police department up to speed so that they can provide whatever coverage we need. And we can go back to having, when you almost hesitate to call sometimes for minor incidents because you don't want to take up their time when they need to be busy doing other things. So with that way, we can go back to community policing more and doing all those things in neighborhoods. We really need to have whatever funding it takes to do that. And I had one other comment. When we talk about the parking on the street, it's not just, it seems to me that we talk about it being when school buses go, but that ordinance is in effect all year round, even when the school buses are not working or anything like that. It's just during those times, Monday through Friday. But it's when the busy time of day when people are going to work and everything else too, not just when, because we have times when school buses aren't running, but they still can't park on the street, is my understanding. I just wanted to make sure that I was correct about that.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Taylor, you're correct about that. It's just, that's the easy way it's referred to. It is, it is 365 days a year, regardless of whether, the schools are in or not. Street parking is allowed outside of those hours as long as it's not restricted by specifically by the community, and it has to be signed and everything according to the county ordinances to prohibit any street parking. Your typical street parking is right wheels to the curb, facing in the same direction as as traffic flows, so you're not allowed to park against the flow of traffic. And then of course the new portion of the ordinance is governing two vehicles parking basically parallel to each other, with roadway in between them, one on each side of the road. That's prohibited unless there's at least 12 feet between the nearest points of those cars.
But it's really important that we get the word out. It's the reason I bring it up, everyone, because we reach different people. And sometimes people don't know that we've had additions to ordinances and that things have changed or what the ordinances are. So the more we can tell everybody about it, the more people will know and the less problems we probably would have. And I wondered if the chief could talk about the issue with the personnel that we need and how we stand with that issue at this time.
Well, Ms. Taylor, you bring up a good point. Rest assured, we are doing our job and we're able to respond to calls, but you hit the nail on the head. Those extra things that we normally do, like having an active traffic unit, an active crime suppression unit, an active DUI unit, gang investigators. The bottom line is we are all police officers first. So as our manpower decreases or has a negative impact, then I have to pull all those officers that I have tasked for those specialty units and bring them back to answering 911 calls, because that is our first responsibility to the community. So without those additional bodies, we're not getting the extra creative policing approaches that we normally like to do. And I won't be able to do those things as well until we fill our vacancies.
And I'd like to add to that, Chief, is that it's not a question of whether our police officers need more funding from a salary perspective and equipment perspective. And we've got to do that, but we've got to do that smartly. We have to do that hopefully without dipping into our general funds. And the question becomes, how do we do that without raising our taxes? We would like to do that. If we have to raise our taxes to begin to support our police officer, I think that's something we have to begin to look at. But we've got to do this diligently. We have to do it strategically, and we have to do it very smartly in order to give these officers what they truly deserve. The question, like I say, is not whether they deserve a salary increase. It's how do we begin to make that a reality.
And Commissioner, before we move on, I see in the chat a question from Mr. Andrews. Do we have a non-emergency number that we can call? We get this question all the time, and I'll answer it like this. If you have a question that does not require a police officer to respond, please call your respective precinct watch office, and they can put you in touch with the right person. But if you need a police officer, there is no non-emergency number. The number is 911, because we also use our communications system as a record-keeping device. So once again, I don't want anybody to be confused, but yes, any non-emergency contact can be made through your respective precinct watch office. Those numbers should be listed on our website at claytonpolice.com. But if you need the police, we dial 911. And does that, okay, he said thanks.
Any other questions for Chief or for our sector commanders?
This is Janice Arcuria. I have a question. On last night's news, there was an account of a road rage shooting in Clayton County. I would like to know if there's been any update on that as far as a suspect. And also, is that very common in Clayton County to have road rage shootings?
I would need to research that particular incident. I'm not familiar with it. Captain Flynn, are you?
No, I'm not directly familiar with it. I want to say I'm trying to go back through my email to see if I can locate the information in reference to it. I know it was on another sector. Let's see if there's a drive-by shooting on sector 3.
This one that I'm referencing was on the whatever channel 2 is on Comcast, the 11 o'clock news. It was a woman. I think she may have exited the freeway, but then at some point in time, someone who, pulled a gun on her, a driver that was nearby, and shot into her vehicle apparently, but she ducked. I think her windshield was broken or her window.
I'm not directly familiar with that one as
Well,
far as.
let me help because I'm not familiar either. And I'm glad you asked that question, ma'am, because things can be attributed to Clayton County. But if it happens in the city, unincorporated Clayton County Police Department wouldn't respond and wouldn't be aware unless we also saw it on the news. But to your second question, in reference to whether those things happen a lot, they do. They happen a lot in the metropolitan area, period. And it's unfortunate. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier in reference to conflict resolution and things of that nature. It is amazing how many times we have responded to road rage incidents where individuals cut someone off or inadvertently change lanes in front of people. And we have individuals that will follow you and discharge their weapon in anger after those incidents happen. Yes, they do occur. Of course, I don't think anybody in this day and time is intentionally cutting folks off. It may be just we're trying to manage our electrical devices in our cars and not paying attention, things of that nature. We've had folks say, yes, police, I inadvertently cut that individual off. I tried to apologize while we're moving. I roll the window down and express my sentiment. And even after that, the individual continues to follow them and discharge their weapon. So yes, Ms. Janice, those things do happen all around the metropolitan area. I would always advise whatever you do, find you a safe space to go. If you think someone's following you, know your community, know where your precinct is, know where headquarters is, or any heavily populated location to drive to discourage any behavior like that. But yes, those things do happen.
Any other questions? No other? Is this a question coming? I'm not sure. Okay, then do we have anybody on from code enforcement? I didn't see him. I don't see them. Okay, I'm jumping back through this list here. We've gone through that, and I'm glad you all brought up the issue of police pay and what these folks need. And, we have to publicly thank our officers in the streets and our first responders. They're putting their lives at jeopardy each and every day, even at this moment. And I just want to say thank you all from me, not as the commissioner, but as a citizen, for what you all do for Clayton County. So I appreciate you all each and every day. Where do we go? Oh, we have Erica. Are you still there, Erica Rocker?
Yes, I am here,
Yes.
Commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? You want to speak
Well,
to us about how we are moving along? with your freighter?
With my freighter in the background, yes,
Yes.
I have to showcase all of the wonderful assets of our great state of Georgia, which work in tandem for all communities to benefit from. So yes, my screenshot in the background is that of the Port of Savannah and our large container ship that frequents the port. I featured that photo because, as I've mentioned before, and greetings to your constituents here in District 4 and all of those that are on the call. As I mentioned before, you know, Georgia's been awarded for the 8th year in a row the #1 state for business. And that is not a frivolous self-appointed award. That is voted by Area Development, which is a national organization. They interface with all jurisdictions all over the country. And so for us to win that award, we're told year after year, it's because of our creative incentives and the way at which we approach economic development, and what we think is par for the course, apparently other states just don't do. So we recently have offered a new tax credit for companies that I deal with who are considering Clayton County as a location. We're able now to offer them the port tax incentive. So if you are a company that's going to have a trade component and do business with the ports, in addition to the $4,000 per job tax credit, you know, there's an additional $1,200 available per employee that you hire. So it just sweetens the pot more when we're on the fence with our chief competitors, which are Memphis, Spartanburg, South Carolina, in some cases, Austin, Texas, in that region, when we're a finalist to receive a project. So thank you for acknowledging the picture in the back. Happy New Year to everyone. It is a great day in Clayton County. I proudly say I represent the rose-colored glasses department. Economic development is just an incredible field and at an all-time high for our county in terms of the caliber of companies that are, when I say shopping us through their site selectors or through their real estate brokers, to the small businesses and the creative concepts coming out of our own homegrown citizens who are either retiring and starting a new business or an entrepreneur in their own right and are opening a business. So I will say that this year from our department, we're excited, albeit the recent surge in the coronavirus. We're excited to see our businesses opening and thriving. We're not seeing the closures. We will be administering a round of small business grants for those of you out there that have small businesses. So watch for that. I'm expecting the announcement of the program to come sometime mid-March. So just, you know, pay attention to our announcements and things during that time. We are recently had a very great guest to our county. Attorney General Chris Carr came and spoke at a breakfast, a small business breakfast, to some of our stakeholders. And it's always great when you have folks from the governor's mansion or from the state to come down and be present here in our county. It allows them to see and learn things they didn't know. And it certainly puts us in a relationship to ask and to benefit from the services of their office. So we're proud to have them back in December. One of our large businesses, LTI, hosted them at a breakfast at their site. And so a group of us stakeholders got a chance to interface with Chris Carr. Let's see, other than that, what else do we have coming up? We've got some workshops we're planning to do on the business education side, which are great. And those are coming out of those ARPA funds. Again, these will be really everything from basic to more involved classes and workshops. They'll be free of charge. So all of those will roll out sometime end of January. That's being coordinated through one of our partners, the Clayton Chamber of Commerce. And so what's been so great about, I'll say, economic development in the county is I think now we are actually utilizing all of our partners and our arms and our strengths in the way that they should be, and in the way that is most, that I think will yield the best impact, I'll say, to business community or those who are even interested in opening a business. It'll be less intimidating. It'll certainly be a friendly front to approach and ask questions. That's about it. Commissioner, if anybody has any questions for me, happy to take them, but Happy New Year. Glad to be representing Clayton County once again.
Great, thank you for that. We are really trying to strategically go after certain types of businesses for our county to begin to increase our tax digest even further than it has. And also with what, and I'll let you come in just a second, Erica, and what was also stated is that we are going to begin to actively and aggressively begin to pull small businesses and show small businesses how to do business with Clayton County. So I have spoken with our, which department? The
Central Services.
Yes, with Central Services to begin to facilitate some programs for that. So we've got to begin to pull our small and local businesses into our procurement process. And Erica, you were going to say, go ahead.
I was going to say, Commissioner, and thanks for reminding me, yes, there is, their first one of the year is this Wednesday. I believe it's the 12th, and I'll look and verify that and put that in the chat. The Central Services just sent that out. How to do business with Clayton County, how to set yourself up as a vendor. What types of things does the county buy and shop for? And I'll just say, when I attended one of these last year, just to be familiar with how it's run, I was, very impressed with all the different things that the county buys and purchases and looks for quotes to do business locally here. Everything from catering to a DJ to, printing and workshops. Print shops and things like that. So from small to large, we are a buyer as a county. And so it will behoove anybody who has a small business, even if it's a small service of consulting, to take that workshop and then get registered so you can possibly be a customer.
Great. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Sure. And the other thing I was going to say, Commissioner, in meeting with some of our major stakeholders, I had a meeting with Atlanta Technical College South, which, has a campus in Clayton County. And they were expressing to me how they've received record enrollment for their spring semester for their CDL classes. And as you know, supply chain logistics is the name of the game. And we've seen through this pandemic how everything works in tandem. Whoever thought we were as connected as we all are, but the trucks and the warehouses deliver the cold medicine you're about to take at your home. So it's all relevant. But in doing so, we've got some great partnership opportunities with Atlanta Technical College in terms of providing them space for that training. And so I just can't say enough about how proud that our companies who have been complaining about we need more CDL drivers, we're answering that call through the Goodwill Workforce Office as well as the Atlanta Technical College. So happy to announce that, and kudos for ATC. And there's some incentives for registration. So if anybody has young people out there or a career change for yourself, it's an option. So look them up.
Great, thank you, thank you. And also those that have sent me an email about being involved with our community development groups. Like I told you on the last call, we're putting together groups of different neighborhoods where the whole purpose is for you to interject what you want to see in your neighborhood and what you don't want to see in your neighborhood. We've got to figure out a way and determine a way. How do we transition from one type of neighborhood to another? How do we transition from one type of land use to another? And where we will accept growth and where we won't accept growth. So you all should be receiving for those groups. And if anybody else is interested in joining these little focus groups for me, we will meet probably once every 3 or 4 months just to discuss what we want how we want to see our county grow. So you will be seeing that email from me really soon here.
Yes, and that's great. I'll be looking forward to that. And I think what's going to be key, and I'll be inviting members of the BOC into this, but we're looking at doing some quarterly meetings with our brokers, like a brokers luncheon, because in talking to those who are out there selling these parcels or getting proposals for these parcels or buildings, having them be educated, I can't say enough about that in terms of what we want as a county, so that they're not brokering a lease or a sale for a truck parking lot just because it fits the zoning. They know what we want. And so I've been very encouraged in some of my site visits lately with a broker saying, yeah, I keep getting proposals for truck parking. And I said, nope, nope, no. And I said, good. I'm glad you're saying no. Because that's how these things slip in under the radar. So that will be very helpful. I can be able to present the findings of that focus group and say, here's what the community said they want. More recreation or more dining or more business or more green space. Like, what is it? So.
Right. So that is how we're moving. So I appreciate everybody for that. So
Commissioner Davis,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is Judy Taylor again. On the focus group, is this for are you just setting up groups in our district right now? In other words, it's not countywide, this is just in our district. And what will we do with this information? Are we going to, once we come up with some information, will it be presented to the entire board or to whatever departments are needed or whatever too? Because it seems like this is going to take a little while to do and everything too. And if we wait too long, all of the land is going to already be developed, and then we may be developing in some cases in some places and areas that maybe we need to look at it a little differently and may need to work on this. So I didn't understand exactly how this was going to work.
Yes, I'm just pulling neighborhood folks that want to participate and tell us what they want in their neighborhood. This is a District 4 initiative, District 4 only. I'm the commissioner of only District 4. So I don't want to step outside of my bounds of District 4 to begin to push forward. But it allows me as a voting member and folks that do call me asking for truck parking, asking for gas stations, a lot of these different types of businesses. It allows me even a stronger way to say no.
Well, when you bring that up, I had a question about whether, could you go in a little bit more as to why you made the decision to allow the Noah's Ark issue to be withdrawn as opposed to being denied? Because if it had been denied, they couldn't bring it back for a whole year. Now they can bring it back anytime that they want to. It's sort of like, almost like it was tabled to an undetermined meeting time or something like that. Do you have any other information as to why you chose to go in that direction?
Well, I chose to go in that direction because that gentleman still wants to sell his property and it's zoned a certain way. So we have to let him or allow him the ability to try to sell his property. Anybody that owns a piece of property, it is for them to do up under zoning and land use principles that we've set forth their will. So we don't want to take that. We're not going to strip his rights away from having to sell his property. Now, we are still looking at how do we begin to minimize and mitigate the traffic issue within that area. So all this has done is brought it to fruition of some of the issues that we have, and we've got to push forward to figure out a way to mitigate these issues. So we're going to move forward with it. Yes, you are correct. If we would have denied that, they can't come for a year, but they also know that they have to bring something to the table that is amicable for all parties involved here. So they have the right to do that, and I don't want to strip them of their rights and opportunity to do that. So they chose to withdraw, so that's why I allowed them to withdraw.
Commissioner Davis, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Barbara, and I'm sort of talking about the same thing because they're wanting to rezone an area close to my home. Mm-hmm. Well, it will be right at my home. It's on 138 between the Cardinal Way and Bambi Lane. They're wanting to rezone it for multifamily units. But and even one neighbor heard, she was talking to somebody that was at the end of Christopher Street working, and he said, "Oh, they're gonna run this street. It's a dead end street right now. We're going to run it into 138 because they're going to build apartments. And this is really, it's already zoned single family homes. And a lot of my neighbors were all concerned about what's going to happen.
Yes, I did speak with somebody. I don't know if it was you. I spoke with somebody. I believe it was
It was
Thursday.
me.
It was you. I think, yeah, we spoke about that. And like I said, that has not come across my desk yet. I have put a call in the community development and waiting to hear from them from that. Anytime we have a zoning issue, it's got to be presented to the public. And even when I drove down the 138 the other day, I did not see it. So like I say, I've not heard anything about this. They've not applied for anything, any kind of permit or land disturbance permit for that as well right now. But I am keeping my eyes open for that.
Well, the attorneys that are helping these people do it, I mean, they had a Zoom meeting the end of December, I guess it was. And that's how I found out about it, because a little card came in the mail to me.
Mm-hmm. Like I say, I've not heard anything about that, but I have reached out to community development to find out what's going on, if there's been anybody has applied for any type of permits for that.
Okay, and I did do what you said, which was go look at the sign, and I didn't see anything
Exactly.
that said that either. So, okay, well, I'm going to stay on top of it because I'm worried about it.
Well, thank you, and let me know so that once it's brought to my attention, I can begin to move accordingly. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, this is Drew Andrews. I have a question.
Hey, Drew.
I regarding potholes, there is a pothole that's the intersection of North Avenue and Terra Boulevard, right there near CVS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's deep enough to do front end damage. I noticed that there was a patch done, I think about a couple weeks ago, but now it's open again. And I was wondering, what type of material do we use to fill these potholes, because it's not lasting very long.
Okay. I've got that down as an issue. I'll jump on that Monday. Now, Drew, I'm IT. I don't know nothing about dirt, concrete, or anything else. So I couldn't tell you what they're putting in that hole.
Another issue, in addition to the pothole, is lighting. Again, there's
Sorry, is what? I didn't catch that, Drew. Is what?
Street lights, lighting.
Okay.
In that area is little to zero lighting there. And so in combination with the potholes and poor visibility, that adds to the risk. And just want to know when we'd be able to address the lighting as well.
We are aggressively pursuing that area all the way up and down Terra. We have to remember, Terra is a state route. So the state controls that, but we are looking at and applying for grants to begin to work with the state to put lighting on that area. We do need pedestrian lighting. It becomes a hazard and a safety issue for us. So we are working on that diligently. And as I move through District 4 area, even with the businesses that come in or any type of construction or redevelopment of something, I am asking that all developers put in 8 to 10 foot wide sidewalks, as well as some sort of pedestrian lighting.
Okay, thank you. And last question. Okay. Opportunity zones. Do you know if we still have those available in Clayton County? I know there is a conversation around December 31st being the deadline to reapply for that status.
I'm going to check on that, Drew. I don't even want to answer that right now. I'm going to check with the COO Monday morning on that. I wrote that down when I saw that pop up as a question for you. So I will check on that, and I will call you once I find out that information.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Questions?
Commissioner, it's Robert Maddox, sir.
Hey,
I'm
Robert.
here in my citizen capacity today. You brought it up at the very beginning of the meeting about the McDonald Road project. And there's a concern. A lot of my neighbors brought up this concern that at the on the agenda for the commissioners meeting, it shows that the ZAG approved it. But the meeting we went to, they did not approve it. They recommended denial of that project. And both meetings that I've attended, it showed on the agenda that they had recommended approval. And we're not aware of a meeting in which there was recommended approval. And we've got a kind of a concern about that particular project because of traffic and other things. But
Correct.
are you aware of?
I know the last one I looked at, it was a denial, and we've looked at that project. And if those aren't aware, they're looking at building some, I forget, is it 200?
110, 100, I got you. It's 110 townhouses and 246 houses.
Correct.
On 75 acres.
Exactly. Which we agree that we want something to go there, but to have basically 300 and something units there, almost 400, that McDonough Road area cannot accommodate it. And that's what we're running into in Clayton County. Our road infrastructure cannot handle the growth and the capacity that wants to come forth. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of these denials are being put in place. And we've got to keep we want to keep the communities with the charm that they have. But we do want to grow in a very smart and strategic way. So we're going to look at that, but the big thing is, just as it is on the South Main corridor, we've got to begin to put some energy and efforts and funding into expanding our infrastructure correctly to accommodate first what's there, but also growth.
Yeah, because one of my concerns is Lovejoy is doing a really good job of building houses in the area down here. And one of the issues I see personally is that there are no fire stations on the east side of Terra Boulevard from Walt Stevens Road, Jonesboro area, all the way down the line. They're all the way up on the north, the central part of the county. And the fire stations that are in the south end of the county are all on Panhandle Road, and they have to cross Terra Boulevard to get to our side. And I see that as a nightmare in the not too distant future. Okay. You know, between traffic and the no fire stations and what the fire department trying to get across there.
So no fire stations on the east side of Terra.
Correct. You're at Walt Stevens or in the city of Jonesboro before a fire station's available to you. Now there are fairly close to us, but the issue would be trying to get across traffic from Panhandle Road, and there's no easy way to get across Terra Boulevard at any time right now. And with the expansion project further north, I know that's years away and that's a state issue, but that's just a major problem. It's fire, EMS, police, it doesn't matter. It's a difficult task for them to get from one side of that road to this side of the roadway. And again, the city of Lovejoy, I know we don't have any control over that, but our fire department's responsible for responding over there. And I don't know how they're going to support all those houses going in that area over there. There's 3-4 subdivisions that they're building over there.
Well, you know what, that's an issue that I've never thought about. I'm glad you brought it to the attention, and it's something that we have to begin to look at and address then. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
Yes, I have a question. I live in the Richmond Hill subdivision on off of Walt Stevens Road, and they're wanting to develop and put 81 homes behind the old Walker Nursery and Harvest Baptist Church. Can you enlighten me on how or if that's been approved, and they have to rezone the area from urban village to planned unit development?
There's yes.
Go ahead.
There's a couple of projects that have come across my desk for those properties. Nothing has been confirmed or approved as of this time. Yes, there's been something that's come across as far as a development in different ways. I do have a meeting with those folk, I believe it's this week, to discuss what their plans are. They've not bought the property. They've not purchased that property. There's also another plan for some type of urban village within that property as well. So there's two different plans. They want to buy the lot and begin to do that. I can tell you this, if anyone is trying to build homes, they're going to have to build a very high quality home that is, the price point is going to be probably above $500,000.
Okay, they're talking about, because I joined a Zoom meeting with the attorneys that are representing the developers, and they're talking a starting price point of 275. And also, the objection I have to it is, in my subdivision, there's one way in and one way out, and they're talking about cutting through on Stanton Way, which is the other street in my subdivision. And so you would have access from Walt Stevens to there and then come out down at the traffic light at Camp. And that's going to create a traffic nightmare for us and the other two subdivisions that are on Walt Stevens. People are going to be cutting through to avoid the school zone, is my way of thinking.
And I actually agree with you on that. So no, like
That's
I said,
the same group.
Pardon?
That's the same group that was that I was talking to the other night on the Zoom that's trying to develop this property. They told about the property on off of Walt Stevens and 138, which is right here where I live.
Okay.
And we don't have a lot of ways in and out of our little subdivision either. And see, they're already wanting to cut a road through. I mean, they're down there apparently working on it.
Yeah, they might be doing some surveying, but they're not doing any land disturbance.
Okay.
They cannot do that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for bringing that up. But like I said, we will be having some community meetings about that in the near future. But that meeting is this week on that property. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Miss Erica still on with us?
Yes.
All right. My question, how you doing, Erica? Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, indeed. My question is in reference to like hotels. I have family members who sometimes come to visit, don't necessarily want to stay with us, even though we have the space. But sometimes they just want to be able to just move and shake whatever they want to do. So I was wondering, is there any partnerships or anything moving forward in regards to getting hotels in Clayton County?
Thank you, Mr. Funny, for your question. I just posted an article on my LinkedIn page about, it was an article written about how hospitality is now back in business, so to speak, that many hotel projects got really put on hold that were projected during the pandemic because they just didn't know what consumer options and choices would be in terms of travel and staying. But all those projects now have started to reopen, and site selectors for hospitality projects are actively shopping and looking again for new locations. So I will say that South Lake Mall, that owns a couple of the out parcels that are on the backside of the Harley Davidson dealership. The general manager of the mall told me that she's been approached by two hotel companies, and they are, your Class A hoteliers like the Marriott and Hilton families, for doing a location on one of those parcels. So the mall is negotiating. So that's something that can be, of course, public. That's not a competitive thing that I would need to keep secret. So I will say yes, and that's encouraging. Also, the hotel that is at the top of I-75 in Terra Old Dixie, which sits on 6 acres, is going into receivership. It is on the market. I've already talked to two developers who have come to me and inquired about the property. And so hospitality might be an option for one of those. The other one, not so much. But so yes, and I know our tourism department, which heavily relies on our hotel motel tax, would be excited to recruit more. We just don't have a lot of hotels that are in what I call the central part of Clayton County. Now, I am excited that we have 4 that opened and in 2021, but they are on that College Park side that you really don't know is Clayton County, but it is. So the AC Hotel, the Sheraton, and then there is a Home to Hilton project that's been permitted, but they are in the city of College Park, but they're on the Clayton County side. So it counts towards our hotel tax. It just may not be in, the central part of the county that you feel when you're entering Clayton County, but you're there nonetheless.
No, and we also have to
Thanks for
remember
your
that.
question. And we're going to be making a list of our accomplishments for 2021 for Chairman Turner's State of the County, which is in March. So I'll be able to share that with you, Commissioner Davis, from our department, so
Great.
you can share it at your District 4 meetings and know some of these things.
That's what we need. And we have to remember too, that anything that's happening over at the mall is City of Morrow. So it's outside of our jurisdiction somewhat. But we know we've got to begin to do some development. I know we're getting down toward the end. We've gone past our 12 o'clock hour. Are there any other questions?
Yeah,
Commissioner, go ahead.
This is Judy Taylor one more time. I had 2 little things. One was, I'm hoping we will continue to have meetings will be virtual and not in person at this time until things settle down a little bit and the COVID situation gets a little bit better. I would suggest that. Also, since so many of our ordinances, sometimes we make changes to ordinances and they're done under the consent agenda through the board and everything too. And so they're not really discussed at the board meetings. They may be discussed at the work sessions and all. There needs to be a better way to get the word out when we've had changes in our ordinances and things to the public so that they know that we have had these changes and maybe we have to use social media, whatever it takes to get the word out that we have made changes in our ordinances and things that affect, especially that affect neighborhoods.
And I made a note of that earlier when that came about. So yes, I agree.
And thank you so much for the meeting, and I really appreciate everything. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, Commissioner Davis, I just need to, I've been trying to email you and Denise, but for whatever reason, my emails just keep, I guess the county is blocking all of my emails. I just need a contact to talk about just the farm stands and bringing more fresh food, grocery stores.
When you say, is the email bouncing back?
It is from my .org, from my company account.
Can you put your email within the chat to myself and Denise, and I can take it and do that for me. And while she's doing that, I also want to say, I want to thank everybody for coming on. We ordered, and we just ordered last week, 16,000 home test kits that we're going to be distributing, the COVID test kits. So we're going to be distributing those very, very soon. So if anyone is in need, you can email me to let me know that you're in need. It's 1 per person for the home test kits, but we did order 16,000. We're going to be distributing those in the immediate future here. What else did we have here? Community groups, going through it. Upcoming events. Our District 4 Cleanup Day has been moved. It's going to be the last Saturday of the month, January 29th. And we're going to be focusing on the Valley Hill and Lamar Hutchinson part of the county over in Riverdale to begin to clean that up. So I will put something out on that as well. So all volunteers that would love to get out and assist in just picking up trash, I would appreciate that. So we'll be doing that. We're having another home buyer seminar coming up on February 12th. And that last seminar was extremely successful. Out of the 60, from what I understand, I think there was 62 participants. Of the 62 participants, over 50 of them have qualified. And I believe as of this date, 4 or 5 of them have already purchased homes. So we want to keep that. And I think that's a way of us increasing our home ownership here. So we want to continue to do that. I do see the Hand Heart Soul project. I do see that. I'm going to write that down and I'll send you an email. Okay. So you'll have that. Is there anything else we need to discuss?
Yes, this is Drew Andrews. Real quickly, yes, sir. Any updates on the rental assistance as to how many people have been helped, how much been spent, and how many people left on the list?
I don't have the new update. Judge Hill informed me just shortly ago that she could not be there. We have spent, I want to say, over $4 million in our residents, and we are seeking more funding. I can get those exact numbers to you. I don't have those in front of me, but we are still continuing.
4.3 million.
I'm sorry?
Commissioner, it's been 4.3 million
4.3.
and we received additional 1.8 million in
Yes.
December.
Do you have how many residents we have helped so far?
1,374.
Right.
Wow. Does that include the numbers from what is our
Not December.
Hearts of
Hearts
it
to
Nursing?
Nourish Hope? Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I see
And
another.
Commissioner, can you tell us what
Go
time the cleanup is?
The cleanup is going to be from 11 to 1. 11 to 1. So we'll put out some more information. We just have to basically get with Refuge so that we have trucks and bags and gloves out there available to us. So we definitely want to get that done. We've got to begin to help our county in direct ways. So we'll begin to do that as well. We do have a Get Fit Small Business Expo. That will be in March the 5th, over the Lakes Spivey Recreation Center. That's going to be from 10 to 3. So we'll have that. So you'll be seeing more words come out on that as well.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Before we leave, just one more question for you. Thank you so much for the meeting. It's been very informative. I'm very big on cleanup, and I'm happy that we are organizing that. You know, we can spend a lot of money, and this is just my perspective, you know, on things to bring people into the city, making the recreation centers great. But if our city begins to look like trash, you know, nobody's going to want to come. Is there a way that we can invest some money into, and I'm not sure what the criteria is as far as putting signs up, because we have a big problem of people dumping, especially on Turner Road and, you know, in that Noah's Ark area. I moved here about 20 years ago. I really love the area. I'm vested here. And it's just becoming, it's beginning to look like, you know, it looks awful.
Yes, I drove down that way I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and we have that on the list to come clean up hopefully this week. With them coming out, because going all the way down that road, yeah, it was quite littered. I'll say it like that.
Now, as far as signs, is there a way that we can invest in signs, you know, at least maybe deterring people from like dumping, you know?
Yes.
You see a sign that says you're gonna get a fine, you know?
Understand. The board voted to get rid of Keep Clayton Beautiful and the funding for that, which would have helped with that. I think we do need a program like that or something. And I think it's the county and the community needs to push the board to reactivate that program or come up with another program so that we can begin to put signs in there, begin to do some other types of cleanups and education for that. So yes.
Okay.
We have to begin to move on that. So I thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice Arcuria again.
Yes.
Is the area, it's a small street called Spring Place between, I guess, one of the Mount Zions and then that cut through street that goes to the AMC.
Spring Place?
Yes, it's used as a dumping site. I meant to file a Clayton thing just recently. There was a tire there this last week, and the time before I went through, there was a couch and a tire. It's just very frequently used as a dumping place. It's just a short street that's right before you would get to Publix. If you take the left, then it goes over by the AMC.
Okay.
But it's used, it needs to be patrolled frequently by whoever watches that stuff, because there's always big sort of stuff out there.
All righty. I've made a note of that. So we have that. Okay, great. Anyone else have any cleanup issues in the area that they've seen? Because I usually try to send my list out on Monday mornings.
Commissioner, how can we notify you of cleanup issues?
You can either email me at demont.davis@claytoncountyga.gov. I believe that email is in the chat room already, or Denise Harrod.Harrod@claytoncountyga.gov, or you can give me a call at 404-670-7281. That's 404-670-7281. Anything else? Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their days and expressing and listening to what's going on in our county and expressing their issues. This is the way that we make our community better. This is the way that we increase our quality of life. So I want to thank you all for doing it. And like I say, continue to voice your opinion, voice your suggestions, voice your disapproval. That's what I'm here for. We've got to begin to do this, but I don't do this by myself. This is a collective effort. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank those that have participated. I want to especially thank our PD for coming in and just sharing what's going on in this county. The information they usually share is not information that we want to hear, but it's information that we need to hear. So thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. And if there's not anything else, I want everybody out there to try to go get tested. And if you're into the vaccination, get vaccinated. And we want to try to keep our community healthy. Oh, and by the way, Ms. Taylor, and you brought it up, our next meeting is going to be entirely virtual. I know I had said before that we wanted to begin a hybrid, but because of the numbers going up, I wanted to push that off maybe another month. Hopefully that's okay with everybody. But we do want to begin to get in person if we can, but I want to make sure it's healthy and safe for us to do so. But we will always have a Zoom portion of it for those that do not feel comfortable. So thank you, Ms. Taylor, for bringing that up. I almost forgot to say that. All right, folk. Well, you have a very blessed weekend and a very prosperous week. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.